Hello and welcome to the video. This is a first look at something a little bit special. Now, for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that I've looked at a couple of jumper radios. The TS8G in particular is a slightly smaller than standard traditional radios, but they are fantastic because they're multi-protocol. But the thing that's really excited me about this is Jumper has just done something pretty cool and brought out something called the T12. So in this video I want to talk about what this is, why it's a little bit different from the others, and kind of give you my summary at the end. The big headline with this is this radio is actually running OpenTX. Yep, you heard that right. This is a radio for less than £80 that's multi-protocol still, but also is running OpenTX. Now in the box, as you saw, it doesn't come in the nice little case that you get with some of the other radios. Exactly the same physical size. I'll go through the switches and things in a minute, but rather than being that kind of funky yellow color that the T8SG is, this 12-channel radio is actually in this kind of cream color. Still that weird kind of ABC warrior face that is on all of them, and again still slightly more compact. The way it runs this time is there's actually an external module in the back here. This is the multi-protocol module, so you can control it inside with OpenTX. You get a neck strap, you get an adapter for 4 AA batteries to run it from. I'm actually running mine from a little 2S LiPo because that's the connector that's on the battery. You get the USB cable to plug everything in. You get a couple of bits to adjust stuff, and you get the quick start guide. So not showered with lots of extra bits and pieces like you do with some of the other radios from Jumper, but what it lacks in some of the extra pieces, it makes up in functionality. Now, let me power it on. You can see how it goes. So there we have OpenTX, the standard interface. It is physically, the switches are very similar to the X9D and the QX7 radios from FrSky, so it looks like it's a very similar setup in here, but I can access the model menus and I can go down and select those bits and pieces, or I can actually press and hold it and go into the radio setup, and there are all the standard things that you get on an OpenTX radio. So you don't have to, if you love OpenTX or you want to get an OpenTX radio and you haven't got the money for one of the FrSky radios, then this is an option. Now the really nice thing is that with it being a JR bay, let me just turn this off. With it being a JR bay at the back, it will support crossfire without any problems at all. It's got a full speed inverter in here, so you can run crossfire at CRSF right out of the box. So it's a cheap and cheerful way for you to fly long range as well. FrSky, I hope you are watching. That's the way you support third-party modules. Now to control the external module, you make sure the external RF is set to multi, and then hitting enter you can change it to be whatever you want, which is fantastic. So it's a very, very cute little radio that allows you to have an awful lot of functionality in a very simple setup. Again, you have two switches on the shoulders, 3 position switches, and 2 more 3 position switches with 2 sliders, which is very QX7-esque. Let me turn it back off. In the battery compartment, and for those of you that have seen the video of the T8SG, you'll recognize this. There's a little SD card in there, hopefully picking that up, and I've got my little 2S battery powering everything. So in summary, what do I think? Well, this is my first look at an alternative OpenTX powered radio that isn't produced by FrSky, and I love the fact that we're starting to get other radios that are powered by OpenTX. Hopefully, OpenTX development will start to change so that the interface gets a little bit easier, model setup and change gets a little bit simpler for those people who are a little bit overwhelmed by the existing OpenTX interface, which is fantastically powerful, but for some it's a little bit too much. I also love the way it's multi-protocol out the box with a separate module. I've used modules like this in other things and they work really nicely. Great for bind and fly models, for Spectrum, but also will work with your FrSky stuff, your Wokera, your internal bind and fly stuff. But now you have all the power of an OpenTX version running on here as well. Quality is nice. The gimbals are kind of the same as all the jumper radios. They're not super duper high quality, super expensive. You're not going to expect that on radios of this price, but they work really well and they have a nice feedback. Couple of things to mention about this if you're interested in it. Be aware it doesn't come with a case. Bit of a shame that. I really like the case on the T8 SG. I'm guessing that's a price related thing. You can probably buy them separately, so that's not a complete showstopper. And the other interesting thing here is when I turn it on, you'll notice it doesn't say OpenTX. And that is because this isn't straight OpenTX. And this is the only thing that you have to be a little bit careful of here. FrSky, the way they work with third parties can be a little bit interesting. I love FrSky products, but some of their collaboration is a little bit wacky. And what Jumper have had to do is take the OpenTX software and to modify it for this radio so it becomes Jumper TX. So the interface is exactly the same. It works really well. It's based on what looks like the QX7 firmware version with some tweaks for this particular radio. But it does mean that it won't work inside OpenTX Companion, so you won't be able to do that. The SD card contents are different, and it does mean going forward we're going to have to rely on Jumper to create custom builds. But to be honest, I've got some OpenTX powered radios that I haven't updated for a couple of years that's still on version 2.1 of the operating system, and it just kind of works. There are a couple of few tweaks needed in that build of Jumper TX. The way these buttons work isn't as intuitive as it could be, in my humble opinion. I've fed that back to Jumper TX. The navigation's a bit wacky. So for example, this is to tab you through the actual menu items in the menu, and up and down changes stuff. So once you've got used to that, it's fine. But if you're coming from another radio, it tends to catch you out a little bit. But if you're after a radio that runs a version of OpenTX, this one again is Jumper TX, that means you can do all the things that you've seen in all the videos in things like my OpenTX Mix School on this channel and lots of other places in the forums and YouTube as well, then this is a really cheap, inexpensive way to get into it. Plus, you've got the advantage of having the multi-protocol module, which means that you'll be able to control pretty much anything with it too. If you found that video useful or like the content, then please hit the like and subscribe button down below. If you want to go the extra step, you can become a Patreon of the Painless 360 channel and help provide support for what I do here. All the videos created here are put into playlists, so if you're interested in a particular topic, have a look at the playlist, and they all are organised in there to make them easier to use. If you're not sure if there's a video for your particular problem or topic you want to know more about, then add Painless 360 to the Google search term that you're interested in, and that should find the video, article or content about the particular thing that you're interested in having a look at.